of potato starch. So it's actually not plastic. It's made of, yeah, so it's biodegradable. Yeah, so we're not putting any plastic in the water. But it reminds me of an onion bag. Yeah.
How long does it take to degrade?
It's supposed to degrade after 5 years, but this is in cold water, so it might degrade faster in Singapore because it's more warm. But
so as good as plastic, right? In a sense.
I mean, I think plastic definitely lasts longer. But I mean, for our project, we try not. Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't bring any more plastic into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. So we try our best.
We touched it just now, but we didn't know that.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Potato starch.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's not plastic.
How did you find this bag?
When we were trying to start this project, we spoke to different people who did a similar project. Yeah, so a few of them recommended this supplier. So it's a coincidence that it's a Dutch supplier. So they make materials for mangrove restoration, corals.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's quite cool. Yeah.
Really cool, really cool. Yeah, we'll just wait 5 more minutes.
How many talks have you given on this?
Actually, not many. Well, internally, I did one internal talk with my colleagues.
So it's the first example?
But it's my first one, yeah. So thank you for hosting me.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. Oh.
The light is outside here. Even the light.
Yeah. And you went to school with Elliot?
Yes. So I was his half classmate.
Half?
Yeah.
Why
Because
half?
I took a gap year.
Oh,
So he's my new classmate.
Oh,
So then
okay.
I have,
You took a gap year
Yeah.
from then and then
Yeah.
you continued.
yep. So I have like 2 bachelors of environmental studies
Yeah.
classmates that I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is actually quite nice also. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What did you do in
Yeah.
your gap
No,
year?
so I used to be a professional sailor actually.
Oh.
That's how I was very interested with your sailing thing. So I used to represent Singapore for sailing.
Really?
So I was like so I actually took a gap year to try to qualify for the Olympics, which in the end, well, I started from an optimist. So if anyone knows, and then I did 420 and I did 470. So the double-handed, yeah, because I'm too small to do a single-handed, like a late. Sorry. Oh, yes, I happen to yeah, I did quite well in the junior classes, yeah, but then.
She's modest. She was world #1.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Now we know we have a
Optimist.
She won the world.
wow. We have a sailing champion in our midst who happens to be also.
Yeah, so I think it was also nice that I got to, even though I stopped sailing, I still try to keep in touch with the sailing community. So it's nice that now I can do a project outside of sailing with Changi Sailing Club because the manager and the previous GM, I don't know, like Uncle Edwin, like he used to be part of the Sailing Federation. So that's also how I know them. Yeah. Now it's Choi, like Yi-Hong. Yeah. Also nice guy. Yep.
I tried to do a swap between change my membership between
Yeah.
Sailing Club and what's the other one?
Was it SAF? NSC. Oh, no, but now they don't really support. Yeah. But I also used to sail catamaran. Yes, I did one youth bowls on the SL16, which is the youth catamaran. Yeah.
Smaller one.
Yeah, smaller one.
OB14, right?
It's like a hobby, but it's just a different brand. Yeah.
Wow, hi guys. Yeah, nice. Great to have the team. You have front row seats then.
Yeah, there's more seats up here.
Two more here.
2 more here.
There are like 4 seats, like round about.
I think on the floor is an option too.
There are 2 more coming there. Oh, okay, that's like
One more seat there.
One here.
But then
Put here lah. Okay.
okay, should we? Yeah, okay, 7:15 and then.
Wash.
There are 2 more seats here, you want to sit up here?
So I've got two that are late,
It's
they
quite
might have
comfortable.
to sit there.
Yeah, they'll have to shimmy to the front.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit there if,
Yeah.
Do you want to sit here?
Yeah, 1 more here as
No,
well.
no,
Oh,
It's
okay,
pretty
okay,
comfortable.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's 7:15, so we can start. Yeah, we'll start since yeah, we won't keep everyone waiting. Thank you so much for coming here. And what is Wild Conversations? I think it's a casual conversation that we have. So it's very casual. You can feel free to eat, go outside, buy food, walk to the toilet. Toilet's here, so it's very embarrassing if you need to try it. But just say, feel free to use it. Yeah, so usually we invite a speaker who is specialist in her field, his or her field, and we'll invite them to talk about their topic of expertise. And it's usually in the field of nature, the environment, conservation, wildlife, you have it. So, of course, first of all, we'd like to thank our venue partner, represented by Jin Sean here. Thank you so much for letting us use your space.
Just so you know, you're also in the camera. You're like in on live stream too.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I can wave hi to everyone. Yeah, so this place is called Strangers Lounge. It's by Strangers Conversations. So you wanna tell us a little bit more about Strangers Conversations?
Let me.
Oh yeah, you might need the mic so that people online can hear you.
Right. So I like to call this space a playground or a sandbox for people who are on the journey of self-discovery. And so the whole idea is to make it really, really easy to do something for the first time, with as little friction as possible and in a very supportive, kind of open community. And I just discovered that, this is the first time that Yukie is doing an external sharing on her work, right? So it kind of really sort of fits with the ethos of this space, right? And you can see that it's deliberately very, very cozy here, because we want people to not feel distant from each other. We want support to be very sort of close and kind and mutual, so to speak. Yeah, I guess that's all I can do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so of course the next people that I would like to thank are the photographers who are behind the camera, Kelly, Ian, and Rayyan, driving in, of course. So thank you guys, and we'll be taking photos. So if you guys don't want to be in the photos, please let us know. We'll not take photos of you, but of course, if you'd like to take more photos, please remember to tag us at _workspace. The other thing is contribution. So while this conversation is free, we generally try to encourage contribution towards a conservation cause. So today we'll be helping Yukie raise funds for her project, actually. So while it is funded by the SG Eco Fund, they are still short of 20% of the funding. So yeah, so please donate generously. The QR code is here, otherwise I'll pass this around. Of course, Wild Conversations is free, so to help us keep it free, and if you like it, you can also make a small contribution to our source. Pass this around. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start with an introduction of our speaker. We have with us Yukie, who's an ecologist and a nature-based solutions specialist with I cannot pronounce this name.
Witteveen+Bos,
Okay.
or W+B.
Yeah, it's a Dutch engineering firm. And as an ecologist, she focuses her work on local and regional coastal and marine projects. And her expertise in nature-based solutions shapes her design thinking to provide long-lasting benefits for people and nature. So this is Yukie right here with me. Let's give her a hand. And before we start, I like to start off with a quiz to see how much we know about the topic, right? So this might not be scientific. It just depends on what I find. Sometimes it's on ChatGPT, okay? So forgive me. So how many species of oysters do we have in Singapore? And if you guess it correctly, you can also name the oysters. So if you know, I'll give you three options. 3, A, B is 7, or C is 10. How many species of oysters do we have in Singapore? Is it A, 3, B, 7, or C, 10? You just shout out your answers. 10.
B.
B, 7. Any more from that? No? No guesses?
3.
3, okay. Yeah, actually you're right. It's 3. We only have 3 species. This is according to Wild Singapore by Ria. They are the, do you know?
Actually, I think there are a bit more.
Oh, there are more. Okay,
But
so you see, that's why my data not correct.
you know, but it's still, to be honest, oysters are not very well studied in Singapore. So I think the latest study, which is still 20 years old, found 6 species, but they still don't know if they're related or not. So we actually do have our own rock oysters, so they don't look like this. They look smaller, but also like rough. And then we also have leaf oysters, so that's the oysters you see on mangroves, so they're more flat. And then we have pearl oysters also, which are, yeah, I guess those that have pearls.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, yeah, there's seats in front, so if you're too embarrassed to walk out, I've already embarrassed you, so you can walk up, actually. Okay, so there are actually more than 3. Yeah, so.
But yeah, it's
we
still,
should go find out more about
we
it.
should.
Okay. Second question. What is the average amount of seafood consumed per person in Singapore?
Define seafood.
Yeah, so I think seafood like fish, oysters. I tried to find oysters, but it was very difficult. So I can only find seafood in general. So I think it's more generic. Yeah, so what's the average amount of seafood consumed per person in Singapore? Is it A, 11 kilos, B, 22 kilos, C, 33 kilos? Yeah, what is the, yes,
33.
33 kilos.
33.
Any more?
Second highest per capita income
22.
in the world. This is a rich nation.
Yeah, it's true, huh? 33. Okay, so the answer is actually B, 22. 22 kilos of seafood per person a year. And this data was collected, I mean, it's by this website called Statista. And apparently this figure has maintained consistency over the past 10 years. So actually we do consume quite a lot of seafood in Singapore. Okay, last question. Oysters feed by filtering algae from the water. So how much water can an adult oyster filter in a day? So is it A, 50 liters of water, B, 100 liters of water, or C, 200 liters of water? How much water can an oyster filter in a day?
200.
200, 100, 200. Yeah, it's about 200 liters of water. So according to the National Center for Coastal Ocean Science, an adult oyster can filter up to approximately 190 liters of water in a day. So that is quite substantial considering the oyster is like this size, really tiny, right? Yeah. Okay, so enough questions from me. I will, so actually this conversation is very casual. So if you have a question, shoot your hand up and ask away. We will have to repeat the questions for the sake of the people on the live stream. So we'll repeat your question. But otherwise, I'll start off with maybe letting Yukie introduce herself, who she is, and also like, you know, what got you started in this and what's your history like. Now we know she's like a national champion award-winning sailor. So that's something new, but yeah, go for it.
Yes, well, I actually had a slide that talked about it, but yes, I prepared a nice slide deck and I prepared it yesterday. So yeah, I will try not to keep it so boring. So yes. Anyway, first of all, thank you, Daphne, and the whole team for this opportunity. I'm so excited that people are interested in our project. So yeah, I'll try to share a bit more about the concept, the journey, and also a bit about our company. Yeah, maybe next. Well, just very briefly about our company. It's called Witteveen+Bos. It's a Dutch environmental, ecological and engineering consultancy, and we have different business lines, and we do different types of projects in Singapore. So we do coastal protection, water quality studies, and we also contributed in a project where we 3D printed an artificial reef unit for coral. So that's quite exciting. Yeah. And then next. And yes, so that's me. I'm an ecologist. My background is in environmental biology, so I did environmental studies at NUS in Singapore. And Yeah, my current role includes doing ecological assessments for development projects. I also help develop nature-based solutions, so a project like this. I also help with a couple of ecological studies for renewable energy in the Netherlands, so like offshore wind farms. How can we balance biodiversity as well as climate goals? So I find that, yeah, a really interesting part of my job. And yeah, I guess before this, I mean, I feel like I've been very passionate about the environment since young, and especially when I was sailing, when I was younger. I'm always around the sea, and actually one thing that actually made me want to go into this field was when I was sailing in Singapore. I was sailing for over 12 years, and over those 12 years, I've seen very cool wildlife in Singapore. So I've actually seen dolphins off the coast of East Coast, and I've seen many interesting fishes, sea snakes, but I've never actually seen a live sea turtle, but only dead ones. So then to me, that was kind of depressing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how can such a beautiful creature, yeah, just not be able, I mean, of course there are live ones in Singapore, but the fact that I only see an upside down one that's bloated, to me was kind of disturbing. So I just wanted to do something that could help have more happy sea turtles. So it was actually that simple. So that's why I wanted to do environmental studies. Yeah.
And you really like sea turtles?
No, I mean, I like all wildlife, but
okay.
but yeah, I think sea turtles are like one of the flagship species that normally represents like a healthy ocean. And when things are not healthy, like if the water's too warm and then corals are not happy, there's less sea turtles. Plastic pollution also affects sea turtles, so I don't know. It's kind of like a symbol of a healthy ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much for talking about how you started off in this and how you got into this. So you started off sailing and you loved it so much and you wanted to continue to protect the environment that you were in. That's amazing. Yeah, as always. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your project and like what kind of like sparked this idea and how you got into thinking about using oysters for this purpose.
Yeah. So, when I joined the company, my boss had a very exciting meeting with a potential partner or like a partner from the hospitality industry. So he was saying that, their restaurants produce a lot of waste. So it actually started off as food waste in general, and then somewhere along the lines it became oyster shell waste. So they were thinking, how can we repurpose shells into something that's more like a higher value product? So there was conversations about turning it into concrete, making it sand, and then something my boss suggested was, what if we put it back into the sea and create an artificial reef? So that way you can repurpose the shell, so you don't really have to process the shell. And it's an organic material, as you guys, it's organic material, and you just have to strategically put them in the sea. So I thought that was quite a cool idea, and this is a concept that's not new. So they've done this in the US, they've done this in Australia, in the Netherlands. So it would be cool to see if something like this would work in Singapore. So in this region, the most prominent study was done in Hong Kong. So yeah, before we started the project, we actually had calls with experts from the Netherlands. I also spoke to the Nature Conservancy team in Hong Kong to see, how their project went, how it started, what worked, what didn't, so that we can try to learn from their lessons and findings and apply that here. Yeah.
So what were some of like the downsides to maybe like what were the difficulties that they face in the other countries that was not, I guess, that you learned from that you did not do here?
I think there were various things. So I think one most important thing is also the purpose of the project. So for the Dutch case study, the goal was to reduce wave energy on shorelines. So in that way, you had to put the reefs in a certain zone of the intertidal area to maximize this wave attenuation effort. So like to maximize the absorption of wave energy hitting the shoreline. And then for Hong Kong, so then they had to do a lot of studies to do this. And then apparently people were also harvesting from the artificial reefs.
Oh, wow.
So that was quite, yeah. So it's not just like creating the reef, but making sure it's there, it's protected, and then it's naturally recruiting its own oysters, and then it becomes like a self-sustaining ecosystem. Yeah.
Okay.
And then for, I think, Hong Kong, it was also like they had to work very closely with the government to get the relevant permits, to get the community on board, because for that, they were trying to restore abandoned oyster farms. So in that area, oyster farming used to be a very lucrative industry, and then it kind of died out because the water quality just deteriorated. So they were trying to revive that, like not really an oyster farm, but like using the same knowledge as what the oyster farmers have to create a reef. So I think because of this project, I also had a lot of conversations with like the aquaculture scene. So like there was oyster farmers in Singapore, and then I also spoke to many restaurant and chefs who know so much about like seafood biology that it was super insane, and they're so knowledgeable. So I think that was also quite fun for me to look at it from a different point of view. And also for them, like they see like most people, when I talk about oysters, you think of food. So it's like when I say crab, a lot of people think of chili crab. But then I think something I'm also trying to do is raise awareness that yes, I mean they can be tasty food, but they're also very important puzzle pieces like in the marine ecosystem. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I just want to ask, what's the purpose or benefits of this artificial reef?
So what are the purposes and
Yep.
benefits of this?
Yeah, so for Oyster Reefs, or actually, I think there's some slides that visualizes that. I don't know if you can go to the... this is, yes. This is actually a nice infographic by the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, you want to talk about it
Okay.
first?
Yeah, but then I'll get back to your point. As in, yeah, then we can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I think this picture kind of shows you what it looks like when there's like a sandy seabed area, and then what oysters actually do is to add more hard substrate in the water. So hard substrates are important because other things can latch onto it and then grow into like a 3D structure, which creates the 3D complexity that mimics a natural reef. So like basically like baby oysters, they can't like latch on to sand. They need to latch on to something hard, and like an adult oyster shell has like a suitable surface that is nice for baby oysters to latch on to. Yeah. So then what it shows is like, okay, when there's more shellfish in the system, there's more like crevices, there's more areas where there's less wave energy, less current, less flow, which means more crabs and other small organisms can hide in. And if there's more of these smaller species, then there'll be more of the bigger species and predators. And then over time, it becomes like a more vibrant reef because there's just more of these structures. So if you think about it, it's like a HDB underwater. So then there's all these holes where we can all live in, rather than if it's just a bare land, we can't really like go vertically, you know, it's just like a 2D area. Yeah, then you can. Yeah, so then it just shows that there's like more predators in the ecosystem, like carnivores in the ecosystem, which helps to regulate the herbivores, so then the ecosystem is just more balanced. Yeah. And then, so some of the benefits of shellfish reefs, which goes back to your question, is that, well, oysters are just, not just oysters, but shellfish are very special organisms, so they're able, so like I shared just now, they're able to provide shelter for like many small marine species that are able to reduce wave energy, so they're like a natural breakwater, just because they're like a hard structure in the water. They're able to provide surface for larvae to attach on, feeding grounds. Then they're also able to filter water, like Daphne shared. So in tropical waters, there's a study that showed that they can filter 30 liters, an adult oyster can filter 30 liters per hour, which is crazy. So that's like even more than 200 liters.
Yeah.
Yep, and if by filtering water, they can make the water clearer, and clearer water means more sunlight can go through. So this helps other ecosystems like seagrass and corals. So, and also, maybe you can go to the next slide. So also this slide kind of shows how oyster reefs work alongside these other coastal ecosystems. So also what's different from oyster reefs is like oysters, they don't really need light to survive compared to seagrass and corals. So they can be found deeper in the tidal zone. And then, so I think why it also makes it a special nature-based solution concept to test in Singapore is because, in Singapore we're quite land constrained. So while mangroves and corals are really important ecosystems too, mangroves need a lot of land to be like a healthy mangrove forest belt. And then corals, you need a certain light penetration ability so that their like win-win relationship with the algae can help them grow well. So for oysters, you don't really need such good water quality.
You don't need space.
Yeah, and you don't need so much space because you can go underwater. So that makes it even more, I guess, applicable to Singapore. And it can also complement seawalls. So if we want, so you can put like an oyster reef beside a seawall, you don't have to break it down. While for mangroves, you kind of still need a lot of modifications to create it. Yeah.
So like really engineering the landscape in order for that to happen, whereas this is more like vertical and you don't require that much space.
Yeah.
But how does it then become like a seawall? Like do you have to string multiple units of them together, or?
I mean, you can do that. Yeah, so I think there's different ways to implement it. So I think like in the Hong Kong picture, though the sticks are actually part of the abandoned oyster farms, so then it looks like vertical structures in the water. And then for the top one, I think, which is the US project, they put them in gabions, which is also similar to the one in the Netherlands. So they put them in like a box, and then they put them in the intertidal zone to help to reduce the wave energy. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can put them vertically. But like, so the oyster farms, they put them vertically. But that wouldn't really help with the wave attenuation if it's completely underwater. But it might help with biodiversity and water quality.
Yeah.
So it also depends on the goal of the project.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what was your goal of this project?
So the goal of my project was just to test whether this is something feasible. So whether it can attract native oyster larvae, and whether there's a change in biodiversity in the areas where there are the oyster reef beds and areas that are not. Yeah.
Maybe you can kind of like walk us through the execution phase of how you did this whole thing, because I think maybe not everyone is so familiar with how the implementation is like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think I have some slides.
Okay.
We can go next. I don't know what's next, but yeah, this is just a general overview of Singapore and the coastline. So you can, as I said, like a lot of the coastline, so this grey thing is hard. So grey infrastructure, so they're like seawalls or revetments. So it's just not practical it's just not practical to try to put mangroves and corals at all of these areas. So oyster reefs provide like a hybrid solution to this 70% of the grey infrastructure. Yeah, then next, I think. Oh yeah, so then this is like, there's a study done in Singapore on the oyster species richness. So we don't have oyster reefs per se, but we have oyster populations around the island. So there's quite a nice population here, which is I think like St. John's area, Semakau, and at Changi Beach, Chek Jawa area. So yeah, one reason we also chose Changi Beach is because of its close proximity to existing oyster populations, which makes the likelihood of natural recruitment higher. So we don't want to put the shells where we don't think that there's any supply of larvae at all. Yeah. Yeah, and then so just instead of dumping shells in the landfill, we could divert them then.
And then how do you like kind of, so you know, you said you got like people together, like random strangers together to wash them?
Yes.
And, like,
Yes,
clean
yeah.
them for you?
Maybe, sorry, can you go to the
Oh,
next?
next slide.
There's
please.
like 1 or 2 slides that, oh no, what happened there? Okay. Yeah, I will walk through the thing after
Yeah.
this. But yeah, so basically our goal was to explore if it's feasible.
Mhm.
These are some of our objectives. So repurpose 100 kilos of shells.
So did you get 100 kilos?
We got
Got
130. No.
Wow.
Well, initially our goal was 1,000.
Oh, okay, wow.
But then after like 20 kilos, it was just really not feasible.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
But 1,000 would have been possible. We consumed 22
yeah.
kilos. Of
Yeah, maybe in the scaling up, I will do 1,000.
Okay,
But-
then everyone here
yeah.
will have to wash oyster shells.
Yeah, so then we had to revise this goal. And then, yeah, so we also try to engage people, like general members of the community to be involved.
Everyone were to eat like 100 oysters every day.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, actually, the supply is already, I mean, yeah, we,
so the supply
yeah. It's just maybe just coordination of how we get the shells, clean the shells, and then, yeah. So apologies for this logo that is a bit off. But then, yeah, I also just want to share that, yeah, this is a project that was not possible alone. Yeah, we are supported by the SG Eco Fund and Changi Sailing Club and all these partners that made this project happen. Yeah.
Nice.
And then next.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so this is the process. So I'm gonna walk through briefly about the whole process. So first of all, yeah, actually maybe this one, maybe stakeholder consultations also started earlier. So just talking to people, seeing which restaurants would be keen to partner, which venue would be suitable for our project, and so all of that kind of started around April, May last year. And then after that, we applied for the Eco Fund, and then we were successful in August. So after that, we continued the stakeholder consultations, and yeah, you can click. I think there's some animations thing. Oh yeah. So yeah, to secure the restaurants and also like some of the volunteers. So then we're very happy that Changi Sailing Club was very happy to host us. So people from the sailing community were very interested to be part of this project, and we're grateful because initially a lot of people were very skeptical about the idea, which is very understandable. So
Can you explain
Oh.
a little bit, like why do you think, or why were people
Yeah.
afraid of that?
yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, we're putting trash into the sea. So people will be like, oh, I don't want you to make my water even more dirty or polluted. And then people also don't really have a good impression of oysters. Like people only know corals, they don't really know oysters. And I mean, for this Pacific project also, so a lot of marinas, they also have a big issue with biofouling, so which is typically with barnacles. So if you tell people, oh, you're going to put oysters in the water, they're going to be like, oh, are there going to be more barnacles on the boats of these marinas? So that's also a concern. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so then they were like, no, please do not.
So we're very grateful that Changi Sailing Club were on board.
Did you also offer to wash their boats? Volunteers will wash oysters and boats.
That one, not yet. Well, I'm glad that we didn't have to go there yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so also for permits, so we just had to speak to NParks, to tell them more about the project. So there was also a bit of a resistance there, understandably. So just to make sure that we are identifying the potential risks and potential mitigation measures to reduce the risk. So like I think someone also asked, is there a risk of putting non-native shells in the water? So I think one of our mitigation measures was to make sure that we clean it, we dry it, so there's nothing, so we're not going to put anything live in the water. So it's just like the structure of a shell, and not try to introduce any non-native species, which is also something that we're quite, we were also very mindful about, because I think a few years ago there was a black mussel invasion. So that was also quite bad for the, sorry, yes.
Sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to say this. Actually, I think my mic is not on.
My mic is not on. Oh, yes, it is.
No, you just press one time. Don't press and hold. Okay, can you try again?
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry,
Yes, you
tech
have a
issue.
question.
Yes.
So I I have a question. So the kids at the Changi Sailing Club were telling me that you were washing the shells.
Yep.
That you were doing free T-shirts to people for washing the shells. Is that true?
Oh, well, I wasn't. But I know that there were a few complaints about how the shells were not very nice smelling. So I tried to tell the kids that, yes, I'm so sorry that the smell wasn't very nice, but we're trying to do something good for the environment. But then it was nice that a lot of the kids were very curious to know what the project was about, and I was trying, like me and my team were trying to tell them a bit more about the project. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so she was doing on the weekend, I think, and the kids were playing with the boats down there. And they all want to help washing the shells. They were waiting for ice lolly or T-shirts. So I don't know what.
Next time I will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
We
thanks
get more
for the
volunteers.
tip. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're ready to do it. They just want to do something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah, ice lollies.
Yeah.
Yeah, good way.
Yeah, ice cream. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask or share a bit of skepticism? So, because you want to increase the marine biodiversity, how would you measure it in the end?
Yeah.
That's question one. Then second one is that, are you aware that like we are beside the coral triangle where there is a lot of biodiversity? So how does that add to how does that put a context to your project?
Yeah, so I guess addressing the
Yes, so
biodiversity and
For the
also-
biodiversity, so basically our project site was along the jetties of the club. So we did a baseline study to measure the biodiversity. So on the pictures over there. So basically we used a quadrat, which is like a square, yeah, which shows it's a bit hard to see, but so you can see along the pillar. So we did a vertical transect along the pillar, which is essentially our project site, and based on that, we know what is the species present before our intervention. So we saw things like the local rock oysters, drills, which is a sea snail, other sessile organisms, so some barnacles, some crabs. So it's important for us to do this baseline to see the difference between like before and after. So we did this baseline when the tide was low, so when the shells are exposed, and we also did it when the tide was high, so when the shells are underwater. So this gives us a good idea of what is the existing state of the area of the project site. And then I also measured I also take into account other parameters like water quality, and also just do some lit review on what's around it. So like I said, Changi Sailing Club is really a good place to do it because it's close to Chek Jawa and Changi Beach, which is where oysters are naturally occurring. So based on the baseline study, so we look at things like where we see the oysters now. So the zone of where the oysters are occurring along the intertidal zone. So a lot of people think that oysters are only found completely submerged all the time. But for this species, they actually like to be in the intertidal zone. So parts of the day they're exposed, parts of the day they're not. So different species like different things, and for this specific native oyster species, they're fine to be exposed part of the day. So yeah, so from the baseline study, we can compare the difference with our current monitoring studies. And yes, like Singapore is near the Coral Triangle, which is very exciting. So while I can't really make direct links now, it just emphasizes on how much potential and biodiversity Singapore could have, like especially in our marine environment. So it's also nice to just raise awareness on just the diversity of marine species in Singapore, because a lot of times we don't really see it because it's out of sight and like underwater compared to more terrestrial ecosystems. So hopefully, if there are more projects like this, we can, and maybe if the oysters do grow into adult oysters and help filter water, they can help the other coastal ecosystems like the seagrass and corals that are also very important with the connectivity between marine as well as more intertidal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long will the project run? Like you just put them there, right?
Yeah.
Is it end last year?
So the project started end of last year, And then it will, for this pilot phase, it will actually end in August this year because that's when the grant ends. But we're still exploring to extend the project because, I mean, in less than 1 year, it's a bit hard to conclude anything. But the exciting thing is we have already seen some positive results. But yeah, we are still in the process of trying to make it a more long-term study.
So you've seen some settlement already?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, which I will also show in the next slide. But
Well, back to his question
Yes.
on the biodiversity. So 1998 was a young planner in national parks that secured this Chek Jawa and all that. You go back to the slide, the Singapore photo, the rock.
Oh, the map of Singapore? Yeah.
Singapore map.
So it's actually very sad, you know, because we are in the Coral Triangle,
Yep.
and we throw anything grows, you know, grass grow, anything grow, but we concrete everything.
Yeah.
If you go to the southern island, all
Yeah.
concrete, yeah. And right now I have a project in Central Island. You see all the Lazarus, all concrete, because we followed the Japanese system of concrete. They gone mad in the 80s over concrete, right? So we follow. Yeah, even our East Coast also all concrete, stone, concrete. So we became concrete mad. So when in the late 90s, when there were only 2 planners then, we pushed for all this nature-based, but fortunately, nature cooperated with us. We were thinking, oh, all this place, how if we save Chek Jawa, who will come? We only had the dugong droppings. Then if we
Yeah.
save Katu Gongsu, if we save mangrove, how? You know, if I were a bird, I'd fly through. Right? Why would I want to go to the Pulau? You know, in front is all the roads, Sungai Kadut, you know, industrial park, the smoke. You know, the opposite is the whole Malaysia. Why I want to come? So nature fortunately cooperated with us. Then they came, the parents came. So your project, we should do more of this. It become like the Bishan Park, you know.
Yeah.
They smash all the concrete
Yeah,
and they make
break it
then the
down.
nature will cooperate with us, man.
So maybe I just share that man-made solutions is sure.
Yeah.
Nature-based solutions, you have to pray for nature to cooperate with you. Right?
Yeah.
So man-made solution for
Engineering solution. you mean?
tidal
Yeah.
protection is sure.
Yeah.
Nature-based pollution is still pilot-based, right?
Yeah, correct. But you see, in Singapore, we are so fortunate. We don't have hurricane. We don't have all these things. So actually, it's ideal for nature-based solution. That's why the NUS started the Center for Nature-Based Solution. They got a top brass to come down, to start this, and then now a lot of grants are coming because they're coming around,
Yeah.
And since in that time I did one program in Yale. They have, for example, paint, paint on the wall. Why paint don't last? So they went to study this lotus in the white, right? Why does the lotus stay white in the swamp? So they follow the DNA, then they apply the paint and work. It become self-cleaning. So your oyster thing, I don't know. They may not have the result yet. But I'm sure nature will come to the
Find a
rescue.
way.
Then you will have you got more point.
Yeah.
I think you have to allow nature to do its work.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you just shut it off by throwing the cement, then there's no
Yeah,
chance.
it's all
Yeah.
cement, seriously, all cement now. If you go everywhere, you see Jurong Island. In fact, there'll be reclamation soon again. In
East
front of
Coast.
And
us.
East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we told JTC, what the hell you're doing?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
NUS has this very high-profile nature-based solution team, right? As you mentioned, world #1 guy, I forget his name, is coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
Singaporean.
Yeah.
Ho Lian Pin.
Have you shared your findings with him? Or with
Yes.
them?
Well, so since we started the project, we have had conversations with NUS about the findings, and I believe at the moment their focus is actually a bit more on carbon nature-based solution, like climate nature-based solution. So their focus is more on carbon greenhouse gas sequestration rather than, they have a different pillar for coastal protection. So we've had conversations with them, but it's also a bit hard to collaborate because I think the government tries to be more neutral. So then we just have to wait for like future tenders to be rolled out to work on like the future like master plan and coastal protection efforts. Yeah.
So But why you think that, I mean, just now you mentioned so many good things about the oysters and for the environment and for the biodiversity and all this kind of thing. And said, but as compared to coral and as compared to mangroves, somehow oysters have not been very popular in that regard. Right? Well, why do you think it is?
That's a good question. I don't know. It could, yeah, I'm not so sure. It could be like an aesthetic appeal. It could be maybe because we see.
I think, is it maybe because it's awareness? You know, people don't even know we have local oysters in Singapore.
Yeah, it could be just that, I think. Yeah.
So oysters are just maybe not popular because people just want to, like, I don't know, consume
Yeah,
and
they
throw.
just see it as food.
Yeah.
Rather than an ecosystem.
I think it's true, right? When you Google oysters, actually when I was trying to find, do my quiz questions, I was trying to find Google oysters, the first thing that pop up, it's restaurants, a ton of restaurants, where you can find the most delicious oysters for your next meal. Yeah, they don't say where you can find oysters to,
to snorkel.
replant them.
Maybe something that people cannot accept that they are fruit feeders.
Yes.
You know, because you're putting into your mouth raw some more, right? So
Yeah.
if you tell them, oh, you want to filter the water, and people think of the polluting water, then they not so appetizing maybe. So I guess also need to work on the
Education.
part and
Yeah, absolutely.
overcome the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe you can let us know in terms of like expansion of this project, what like, or if you know of other countries that might have expanded this to like a wide area, because yours is currently just pillars of it, right? Just a few pillars. Like, what is the ability to expand this project and the cost effectiveness of doing that? Yeah.
Yep. I think in terms of like the shell supply, I don't think it's an issue because we've only sourced from, I think, 4 or 6 restaurants, and we managed to get 130 in less than 1 month. And I know that there are bigger oyster suppliers out there, or restaurants that serve oysters. But I think, to be honest, like the effort has been quite a lot compared to what I expected. So for this project, because it's a pilot and we really just wanted to test it and do something small, well, me and Erika, my colleague, really, and I had to also drag my friends and family along, so I also invited my parents and some of my friends who's helped me. So they're all behind.
Oh,
even I had to borrow my parents. Yeah, so at the beginning I was like putting the oysters in boxes and I was using Grab to transport them. And then the Grab drivers told me, "Hey girl, your box very smelly." So then I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm like, okay, oh crap. Then I had to ask my mom, "Hi mom,
Can you ferry me any smelly
can I
oysters?
borrow your car? Can I move these oysters?" So yeah, thankfully my parents and family have been very supportive. And then I also had to get even my parents helped me wash some of the shells, and my grandpa also washed some of the shells. And then, so I think, because it was a pilot, like me and Erika, we had to do everything ourselves. So it was really quite tiring also. And also,
Did you consider, because if there's so much work involved in cleaning the shells and all this, so if the main focus is to reuse the food waste, then that's one angle, right? If you say actually you really want to prove that the oysters can benefit the environment, if you don't focus on the food, on cleaning the shells, you can do something artificial, right? To encourage the natural settlement onto a man-made something like So then you if you put on the effort there, then you at least you can prove the point that okay, actually the benefits are here, and then you don't have the work of the chunk of work that now you had with just 100 kg of oyster shells.
Yeah.
So
in the future,
using
I need to outsource that. No, but I mean, we still have to see how, because I think, for this case, we also just wanted to limit costs. But I think in the future, it would be nice to have also maybe more volunteers, or maybe getting the restaurants more involved, because now I feel like, so now I tell the restaurants, I can help you. So I guess the selling point for them to give me the shells is I can help you reduce your waste. So then a lot of them have this food waste or just general waste reduction goal. So then this is something they can put in their report. So for this, I had to find restaurants that had this goal. So then they were like, okay, this also, so it's a win-win situation for them. And I think moving forward, well, some of the restaurants are very happy with how the project has turned out. So maybe the restaurants could also be more involved in the process. So maybe the restaurants can help
Clean.
or maybe not clean, or get, I don't know, different groups of community to help with this process. Yeah. So I mean, for us, we did engage kids with autism from Rainbow Center to help with part of the cleaning, but we also didn't want to stress them with like, okay, we have 130 kilos to clean, you need to finish this today.
Yeah.
It was more of them being part of a restoration project. So rather than, that was like more, I guess, less labor intensive, and it's a bit different from like the typical coastal cleanup or tree planting. So it was kind of a safe environment, and then they could do it with their families. So that was quite nice. Yeah, it was just that like the remaining me and Erika and whoever I dragged had to clean the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I think as with all these nature-based solutions, I think it does take time to come to fruition. Unlike man-made things that we know it's going to work and it's going to work immediately, and that's why we deploy it straight away, right? But sometimes, like I do feel nature-based solutions, it takes a while longer, but it lasts a long time, as opposed to we don't know what the secondary or the negative impact of, like, say, putting, like, say, concrete into a space, right? Whereas these shells, they're organic and they came from there, and then they'll return back to where they came from. Yeah. So just wondering, in terms of like nature-based solutions, so what do you think, like in terms of this timeline for this project, what is a good amount of timeline for you to see? So now you say you have 6 months, right? Do you think a year and a half, or are there just different moving timelines that you'd like to see if you had like all the money in the world to deploy for this project?
Yeah, I think, well, ideally, no, I mean, I think like, I don't know, 2 to 5 years would be a good number, because that's also how long the native oysters take to grow into adult, and then when they're adult, they're able to filter feed. So that will help us study also a bit more about the water quality potential, like whether a certain cubic meter of oyster reef can help to filter water, and also to do a bit more studies on the coastal protection benefits, because for this study, well, we are funds and like time, manpower limited. So now we're just studying the biodiversity aspect. But in moving forward, it will be something that will be quite nice to explore, like whether it can help filter water, improve water quality, as well as to reduce wave energy along the coast. Yeah.
Are you looking at exploring other avenues besides, I mean, of course, Changi Sailing Club?
Yes, yeah. So we've also been having conversations with other coastal areas in Singapore.
So if anyone has coastal areas that you could, I think there's some.
Thinking of Thailand.
Thailand.
Oh, yes.
Chantaburi has a lot of oysters. I ate a lot of oysters.
We've also,
Would you know someone there that you can introduce to?
I think still there, Kunlung.
Yeah, maybe we should chat after this. But actually, we've also received interest from the region. So there are a few people who have like business close to the coastline. They've also spoken to us to see whether this would be feasible along their coast.
There's one company in Sydney also. Sydney Oyster Farm. They do table setting on the river, you know.
Oh, that's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like the farm to table
experience.
Yeah.
With your champagne, that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you can share with us. So I'm sure you thought about using 3D reefs and all that, and that has been something that has been used like in and around the region, and also in many other places they use 3D reefs. So is there a difference in using 3D reefs? What is the difference? Is it better? Is it worse? Why would you use this versus that?
So like I shared earlier, our company did work on 3D concrete printed reef units that were deployed, I think, in the western area of Singapore. But of course, I mean, as an ecologist, I would rather not, print something when there is a natural alternative that already exists. So for this, for like using oyster shells, you're tackling multiple things. One is like food waste, so like less waste going to Semakau, which is less emissions also to incinerate. While for concrete, while there are less carbon intensive concrete, oh my gosh, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm upset. But yeah, you still need more, and you still require energy to like create the concrete. So, but there's still, I guess, in areas where the supply of like a hard substrate is low, that could be an alternative. And also for concrete printing, you can choose the shape of the artificial reefs you want.
Yeah.
But I think that if you already have like a natural supply of things, I mean, I would just choose to use less resources to create an artificial reef. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you'd like to associate. Yeah. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say that that is a very skewed view about man-made solutions are bad and nature solutions are good. I think this conversation is very speculative that man-made solutions, something bad might happen in the future. Therefore, we must try out nature-based solutions as much as we can, and putting a lot of resources into it. You do mention that man-made solution may use more energy. However, your nature-based solution, you also use a lot of energy. It's just that they are all volunteers, right? They're all volunteer resources. So I just want to point out that this idea of man-made bad, and it will come back to get you somehow, and nature-based good, we must commit everything into it, even if it's just a pilot. I think that's very biased.
Yeah. Well,
Bias to who? Most of the room say okay what? Most of the room are okay with it. That's why we came for
But
this.
you're speaking to an ecologist now.
Yeah, we
So
are
of
all
course
in
there's
this
a bit
field
of
what.
a preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you sit in a room of engineers, it's
Yeah,
different
it's a
story.
different story.
I think
Well,
there's
as in-
always, yeah.
I mean, I don't think, I mean, I work in an engineering company, so we have these conversations every day.
Yeah, we
I don't know, so I mean, at the end of the day, I think it is impractical to only go for nature-based solutions. So of course, in an ideal world, I would want nature to be everywhere and to thrive. But yeah, it's just not practical, especially in Singapore when we're constrained with a lot of things, and there's also a lot of competing needs. So like I said, there's no way we're going to ask PUB to knock down all these seawalls and coastlines. So the
pilot
sorry.
project, as the name suggests, right? There's a reason it's called pilot. It's not all of Singapore. It's one little corner.
So I think Singapore, we've come a long way. You know, in the old days, we built the BKE right through splitting the nature reserve from Bukit Timah. You know, so many roadkill. You know, but that's practical and that's good. But today, when they build the cross line, just because of 4 Raffles Lango monkeys, they move. They swish, you know, so we have probably become more rich to be able to afford.
Yeah.
Because if last time we cannot afford nature-based.
True. I think, and like with every case for everything, there must be a balanced view to things, right? So we need to consider nature-based solutions, but we cannot forego what man has built and has done for us. To make us what we are today, to be able to move in that direction where we can actually consider nature-based solutions as an engineering tool to help us. So I think having a balanced idea, and that's why we're here to kind of understand, but it's true, we're in a room full of people who love nature, and I guess that's why we're here. And we're also here to find out a little bit more about what we can do to move the needle a little bit towards something that can be friendlier. Not that it's totally the solution and the idea, but you know, to see what might work and what can reduce our waste. Like I think the oysters, taking the waste out of the system and using it and returning it to where it belongs and having it degrade rather than creating something from scratch. I guess it does help to reduce that.
You
Yes.
make sure the species is a local species.
Oh, yes.
Right? Then you're not scared that you bring in foreign specimen, right? Live specimen. You don't need to. Then it's really nature at work, right?
Mm.
the eaten already, is dropping the shell to the sea. Right?
Yeah, this one I have to consult you because you are the expert. Yeah, you are the expert for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually,
Yes.
is there a way to passively clean the shells? Like,
Mm.
you got all the funny stuff, right? Then we throw it into a water full of yabbies or something, and then they eat up all the scraps. And then or something like that, right? Like then you can become a symbiotic thing with another industry, and you get paid, right? Because you're giving them feed, and then and they clean it for you, and then you just like sun it after that.
Actually, the sun actually is a very good one. Because UV also, right? It kills. It kills by heat, also by UV. Yeah, so sometimes we leave the shells on the oyster farm, and then the sun takes those drops, so the oyster shells are clean after a while. Just nice white calcium rich oyster shell. So you don't need to clean. So you must find a place whereby some rotting still remain, right? When you take it from the restaurant.
Yeah.
So that part can have the fine,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah, I think, so like for the Villain Oyster project, they actually just, like, it's like a landfill where they dump the shells. But then for our case, well, we are time limited, and we also don't want to, well, if you read the stories from these projects, you also get a lot of unwanted pests and things cleaning the shells, which we do not want to attract any rats or anything to the sailing club. But yeah, I think if we do scale it, it would be something very interesting to explore. Like maybe fish, like
Like some enzymes or something. They get some probiotics for the fish to use also.
Yeah, good idea.
That's a
we'll
great
think
idea.
about it moving. Yeah.
Do you have a fish farm?
No,
to offer? But you have.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
A win-win for everyone. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Then I also have some pictures. If you can move to the next slide. So, maybe just some very quickly about the shell cleaning. Yeah. So then the Rainbow Center kids and parents were helping to clean the shells, and then we did sun dry the shells for 1 month. To kill all the remaining parasite. But like you said, when we got the shells, we also get other food remnants. So we get like prawn shells, crabs. So then we also have to like remove that and.
So it was
because
really the trash.
We didn't want to like annoy the restaurant, so we literally told them, just help me sort it. So obviously when they sort it, there's Tabasco sauce on it. So that's like also the stuff we clean. Then we put it in this bag. So like I think I was sharing with some people who came earlier. So this bag is actually
pass it around.
Made of potato starch. So it's a biodegradable bag because we didn't want to use plastic in the project. And then so we pack the shells in the bags. And then so then we place them on the jetty. So now we're doing the monitoring with some volunteers and citizen scientists. And then if you go next, I think I show some pictures of what we've seen so far. A sneak peek. So we see a lot of crabs. Actually, so over here is a picture of we saw a hole in the reef bag, and then when I looked through the hole, this is the culprit of who made the hole. So it was a purple climber crab that was just chilling in the shells. And then over here, I don't know if you can see clearly, but we also see a lot of crabs in between the reef bags and the jetty. So clearly the reef bags are providing some form of shelter for the crabs. And then 2 weeks ago, we had to fix one bag because it was quite badly damaged. And then when we opened it, we saw a lot of juvenile crabs over here. So I don't know if you can see, this is a stone crab. And then we also saw amphipod, so like a shrimp-like things on the shells. And then we also saw a flatworm, which was super cool. I tried to put a video in, but I don't know why it didn't work. And then if you go next. So this is what we saw on land. So then we also did like snorkel sessions for the project. So we also see crabs on and in the bags when the bags are submerged. And then over here, I don't know if anyone can, there's 2 fishes in this picture. I don't know if anyone can spot them. But there's one over here, poking his head out. Over here.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another one here. Yeah. So then we also see fishes in the bags and around the bags. So that's pretty cool. And then maybe next. Oh, here it's a bit hard to see. Oh yeah, I mean our water quality, visibility isn't great, but we also see these other fishes around the bags. This one I can't
You
remember.
said you put them in November when you were in the water, right?
We put most of it. Oh my gosh, I think actually January.
January.
Yeah. So this is what we see so far, which is like 2 months,
2
more than 2
Oh,
months. But
okay.
yeah, we see. So this one is like the
Yeah.
fish, the spotted scat. Yeah.
Any oysters yet?
Yes. So we go next. We
Yay.
see some oysters.
Oh,
So over
nice.
here, you see a baby oyster.
And then
And
you
then-
do have some on your
Yes.
actual shelf here.
No,
that-
not this one. I think.
So she brought
Yeah, there was some.
samples. with-
Yeah, I can't. Well, I will find it later. But I brought some where you can see the larvae. So this one is actually a bit hard to see because it's easier to see it when it's 3D. But this is one and this is one, and it's likely the local species. So that is this is actually one of the coolest updates we've had so far, which is
Because just to this was
Yeah.
when was this video?
this was I think either last week or 2 weeks ago.
At my farm, we actually had accidental settlements sometimes we have. So we did spot some also. So that's why I was wondering whether on your side you thought already. So
No, but I did see one Pacific oyster juvenile.
Oh.
one.
Yeah.
How do you tell?
Oh, because it looks like this, but very small.
Oh,
But
right,
but
right.
it wasn't on here. It was like, so when I did the monitoring, I also scanned the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. So so when I scan the beach, I will also take note of what I see, like and I saw one like a rock oyster. So but that one I don't know where it came
So
from.
the monitoring is once a week, once a fortnight?
We try to do once a fortnight.
Once a fortnight.
Yeah. So we will do one when the tide's low and one when the tide's high. Yeah.
Why do you do that? Like,
Yes. So because when we do the low tide, we can see what's happened. We will see different types of species when the bags are exposed and when it's underwater. So when it's underwater, we see more fish, and sometimes we actually see more crabs when it's submerged. And then and we can also see like barnacles, like filter feeding at but then during the intertidal, we see less, but we see different types of crabs sometimes. That's like hiding, and then we see how they are positioned. Yeah, so they're like their behavior is also different when it's intertidal and when it's submerged.
so are these your indicators of what a successful project is like? Like new oysters and like other things that are
Yeah,
different?
so I mean, this is definitely like a positive development, but I also think it's a bit too early to tell sometimes, because while this is really great, but in terms of the biodiversity, we still need a more long-term time series to see if there's any difference with the baseline.
Yeah.
So now we do see more crabs in the areas with the reef beds versus the areas without. But in terms of the distribution of the original oysters, we still haven't seen a change. And that's also something we want to keep in mind, because we also don't want to put the shells and then we see the native oysters dying. You know, that we don't want to like negatively impact what's there now.
Yeah.
And we also don't want to cause any disbalance. So it's better to see more like a diversity of species rather than just one dominant species. So that's also something we're exploring. Yeah. So just because there are more crabs doesn't mean it's a better system. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point to note. Yeah.
One question. Have you tried to put in different depth to see if there's a difference?
Yeah.
Yep, so we
are they at different depths?
They are at different depths because we want to see whether there will be more whether it's more submerged or less. But at the moment, it's a bit hard to tell. Yeah. Yeah, and also for some of the things like this, it's impossible to see it when we snorkel or when we look at it from from the back. So like this, we could only see it when we took out one of the bags. So, yeah.
Do you have to take out the bag every time you survey then?
So we normally don't. So this was just because one bag was damaged.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, we also have to reconsider how we want to monitor it, because yeah, we get to see them a lot closer when we like take them out. But for some of the bags, I actually wanted to reposition them, but I already saw so many crabs. So like for this one bag, we saw 30 crabs. Yeah.
Wow.
So most of them are juvenile, so like they're like smaller than your thumb.
Yeah.
But then yeah.
So they're like a nursery.
Yeah,
a crab nursery.
exactly. Yeah. So we also don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are still thinking how we. At the end of the day, if NFARCs don't renew our permit, we have to take them out, even though they're doing, even though we see a lot of crabs there. So, so it's still a discussion we are planning to have. But we also, yeah, we will also be law abiding. If we have to take it out, we'll take it out, and then maybe we can discuss with them like next steps moving.
Ah, okay. Now you have an offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go to a personal question. I think someone had a question, sent in a question. So for people who are mid-career, they're thinking of doing what you're doing because so cool. What can they do? Like, how can they get there? It's really cool, no? Yeah. Do you have any advice for them? How to get involved in something like that? Maybe, like, can they get involved in your project?
Yes, yeah. So if you want to be a citizen scientist, you can find me later. I can give you our link to sign up as a citizen scientist. So you get to monitor the bags during low tide. So unfortunately, we don't let the citizen scientists snorkel with us because, yeah, there are some risks with the water. So like, unfortunately, my colleague Erika got stung by a jellyfish during one of the monitoring sessions. So yeah, all for science. But yes, we try not to put anyone at risk. Okay. But yes, you can come find us. Come find me later.
Okay. So what do they have to do as like when they help you besides washing oyster shells?
No, they don't have to wash anymore. All the washing is done. But yeah, so we have a very nice species ID sheet. So of all the common species you can see, so not just like the fish and the crabs, but also like the different types of sea snails, the different types of shellfish. So we also see green mussels at the sites. We also see limpets, barnacles. So the citizen scientists help us fill in our like monitoring sheet to see what species they see, the cover of the species along the project site, and also if they see any just significant things. So like even they also help us like monitor the condition of the bag. So if there's a big hole in the bag, do we have to replace it? If you see, I guess if you see like random, like if you see a lot of oysters and then like a random patch of hole, just document it so that at least we keep track of what's happening. And also we want to make sure that the bags are well maintained and like the ropes are all okay, because we also don't want to be a hazard to biodiversity. So like when we were also planning for the project, some of the questions we got were like, will turtles or otters get stuck to the bags? So that's also something that we keep in mind when we prepare for the project. So we make sure everything is like secured. I don't want to be a contributor to the sea turtles. That was what inspired me to choose this path, and those kind of things.
Yeah. So if we want to head down, can we just head down to see where the bags are, or no? It has to be like arranged.
I think it's a publicly accessible place. But,
okay.
But yeah, I've actually gotten a lot of requests to do like a tour. And actually, Erika has brought two groups of students to the site already. So there was one was like the Dutch International School.
Okay.
I think one was the German International School. So yeah, maybe I should organize a tour.
Back to Wild Space team, your Changi Beach bingo is now been done 6 or 7 times. Why don't you have a bingo at the jetty of Changi?
More than 6 or 7.
So you can do a bingo with the biodiversity.
Sure. Happy to if she would lead the walk to show us what's around. I think we're all keen to see the bags now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll organize something and get something going, and then you guys can sign up, and then we can go and you can show us what it looks like during low tide. Yeah, but it has to be low tide.
Has to be low tide.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, I won't keep anyone for too long. I know we've all set for an hour. Do you guys have any dying questions? any last questions for Yukie? If not, you can always chat with her. After this, she's around. And then, of course, if you have a fish farm, a frog farm, or a prawn farm that you want to offer her, you can. But if not, I'll close off the session today. And thank you so much for joining us. I think you guys have been a great audience. Appreciate all the questions and also I think your inputs. I think at the end of the day, we want to know that I really appreciate that, nature-based solutions are great and so are man-made solutions. We have to know that we need to work hand in hand if we want to make things work for us and for the better of the planet. Next up for Wild Conversations, it happens on the last Thursday of every month and will happen on the last Thursday of next month. We will be talking about herbs because it is also the birthday month of the Herpetological Society of Singapore. So we will be having the president of the HerpSoc to join us to tell us more about amphibians and all your reptiles. So do join us. It'll be very interesting. Don't forget to follow us on social media at _WildSpace on Instagram. Tag us on social media and stay wacky, wild, and curious. So thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Yukie. So you want to pass your...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she has some oysters to pass around. Not for consumption.
Did you see it? I don't know where's the one with the babies.
Where's the one with the babies?
I don't know. I lost it.
Cute.
Here, let me look for it. Oh, this one. Yeah, so this... Oh, yes.